Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about APS-C versus full frame in 2022. So let's dive right into it. Now, before we understand APS-C versus full frame, we have to understand current market. Without it, does not make sense because things were different back in the days, things are different right now. So what happened here? Let's understand the current market. Current market, Micro Four Third, basically this puppy, it's almost gone at this point in time. Now, why did that happen? Well, first it was based on a lie. It was based on a lie that you can have a crop and it will only affect the without affecting the focal length. While many people, selling that idea is like doing some trick method. Oh no, it's the field of view is changing. And it's like, no, it's not. F2.8 Micro Four Third is not same as F2.8 a full frame, and people learned it the hard way. So people kind of like lost interest. And on top of that, all the lenses that were available, they were not good. Lenses are the equipment that defines the resolving power of the complete equipment. Meaning, if for example, if you have a cinema camera and you put GG amount of lens, that like really high quality glass, you will get a really good image even if you're getting output of it is like full HD, while you have a, let's say, a Micro Four Third that goes 4K, but the glass on top of it is garbage. And it has happened. Like enough people realize that flat out people just slowly let go of Micro Four Third, even though Micro Four Third did surprisingly a lot of things right. But the lens quality, meaning the first party lens available from Olympus and Panasonic, were nowhere near close to basically Canon and Nikon. And to be fair, it was stupid of them to expect that they could do that simply because Nikon and Canon had like almost a century of experience, and lenses are something that you have to grind your way to it. You cannot just like tada, it works. No, Mark 1, okay, it's garbage. Okay, Mark 2, less garbage. Mark 3, less garbage. Now throw up the whole line, create a new one. It has been done, this step processes have been done by Nikon and Canon multiple times. That's the reason why they can make such a good lens. They never got the same attention. So flat out lens quality was not that good. And prices, now why the heck it was expensive, Micro Four Third? Well, Micro Four Third was built on a prediction that sensor will always be the most expensive part, digital sensor of a camera body, while that is not true. Now again, I cannot blame the people who invested into this, because again that time back in the day it made sense, and that's why APS-C and full frame had ludicrously large variability, because to take that silicon ingot, slice it up into disc, etching the whole sensor into it, if you're making a small sensor, like basically small slices into that, chances of good yield was very high. But if you had even minor defect, let's say a few pixels, dead pixels, you're not going to ship it to the customer. So that's why like full frame had like very low yields. Flat out costs were idiotically high. But over time that technology improved drastically. So that created a scenario where you can have Panasonic GH5 and A7 Mark III almost at the same price. So that created a scenario where the price perception was much higher, even though you may say this camera can do this and that, but generally that applied for videographers. And most of the time it became what we classify as adapter format, meaning you can buy Blackmagic, you can see people using Blackmagic Micro Four Third system or other company, be it Panasonic also, but you will generally, there is a very good chance you will find them using some Canon glass on top of it. Why? Again, glass were not that good. And again, if you have a field reducer, that will give you actually higher quality. So flat out it became a reality where people are like just slowly letting go. Olympus already backed out, even Panasonic half backed out by going into full frame. So Micro Four Third did. Then we come to X system from Fujifilm. Now Fujifilm is unique simply because it's one of the only company that makes one sensor type, that is basically APS-C. Now they do have GFX lineup, but it's a completely independent mount. Mount is not intercompatible. That is why I'm saying they are solo vendor here. Now they have good quality. Now their quality is compared to Olympus and Panasonic is genuinely better. However, are their quality, like glass quality, I'm specifically, are their glass quality genuinely as competitive as, let's say, Nikon, Sony and Canon? No, no, flat out, like no, just not there. And in terms of electromechanical system, basically lens optics that is moving the equipment, autofocus algorithms, no, flat out no. So it's a good system. Under no circumstances you're going to buy this and be like, I bought garbage. But under almost all circumstances, especially in high yield workloads, you will be like, dude, it does not have the oomph, and that's why you will never, rarely, again, you can find it, but chances are very low that you're going to find them in any Olympic events or sporting events and things of that nature. It does not have the oomph needed to, like, withstand a high workload environment, and consequence, the prices are also high. So it's not working out that well. What about Canon, Nikon and Sony? Now they have a scenario where they have everything available for every range, cheap to cheap lens, expensive to idiotically expensive lens. Consequences, they are crippled. Now why they are crippled? Because they are using same mount. Like for example, this is a Z50. Now you will notice the sensor is too small and the mount is too high. Yeah, that's the whole point. The mount is of the Z mount of full frame. See, that's why I specified Fuji is unique, because the mounts are different. Here is the same thing. So that creates a scenario where they have to cripple their lineup. Well, let's explain that further, why they have to cripple it. This creates a paradox, the aspect of having full frame and APS-C in the same lineup as in like from the same brand. Now, company does not make money from cheap items. This is one thing that you must understand. For example, you will always notice that Android phone, no matter how cheap they get, they always remain at a certain point. They do not go too cheap. Why? Because there are fixed costs. For example, cost of transportation will be fixed. Cost of basic inventory would be fixed. It would not matter whether you are shipping a very cheap iPhone or like idiotically expensive Samsung Fold phone. The shipping cost and inventory cost would be fixed to both of them. So that creates a scenario. You cannot drop your price beyond a certain limit. There is always an X amount of price. You cannot ship, like let's say this is your product cost, you have to sell it at this range. So that's why there is a lower cap. You cannot make it lower unless you want to do what we call loss leading product. Many times it has been done in past, but generally company don't like to do that. For example, a great loss leading product was PlayStation 3. First few years Sony was just burning money away, but they were hoping that it's going to become the next big thing. Not really became, but also it kind of recovered itself, but not like, GG. It did not become GG, but it was like, okay. So they do not make money from cheap item. So from a company's point of view, they want to sell you high ticket items, high price elements, meaning in case of Sony and Nikon and Canon, they want to sell you flagships. Each flagship will have the same amount of inventory cost, same amount of transportation cost, the same amount of other stuff. But inherently, they will give you far more money to you. Basically, 1x will be from basically cheap equipment. It will be 100x in a high price item. So from a company's point of view, it's always better to sell, big products. And then we come to economy of scale, meaning if something is cheap, still valuable, it could still make a lot of profit if they are selling GG amounts of it. But that's no longer happening. Why it's not happening? Because camera market is shrinking because of phones. Now, why did that happen? Simply because there were two things. First, mobile phone literally worked their ass off to make their cameras good. I'm so old that I remember Sony Ericsson K810i, which was like a 3.2 megapixel, and that was like, whoa. That was like back in 2009, kind of, whoa. At that point in time, DSLR was so far ahead that there was no competition. But again, mobile phone worked their ass off. That 3.2 megapixel, I have a higher quality than that right now, and I don't even give a damn. And I consider I have to test low quality. And talking about flagship, they reached on a whole different level. So it reduces the number of people who are buying cheap equipments. So that creates an even higher paradox where there's like, dude, what's the point of it? They are very close to flat out having a scenario where APS-C is just a loss leading product for them. So, and that creates to final reality. Final reality is pros pay more even with fewer sales. For example, if you are buying a Canon for, let's say, sporting event, or buying Sony or Nikon, this sort of equipment, you will pay a boatload of money. And many of these sort of events are generally covered by single company. For example, if you are like a press house, you will not be like, okay, I'm gonna buy Sony body, I'm gonna buy Tamron glasses. 99% of the time you buy Sony body, Sony lens, Sony memory card. So you have one point of contact. Basically, if something goes wrong, you pull out your phone number. It's like, bro, fix it. That's it. You do not want like, okay, oh, card failed, okay, well, call SanDisk. Oh, lens failed, call Tamron. They don't want that. They want one point of focus. So they will be like Sony, Nikon, and Canon. They almost all do the same thing. So in realistic terms, what does that mean? That simply means they have to sell hundreds and thousands of it APS-C body to make up the cost of one professional photographer. So that creates a scenario. No company wants to create a conflict. It's like, dude, if we are making boatload of money from a proper full frame pro grade equipment, let's focus on that, and everything else is just like a buttering the public. But again, that also failed because how many of you know, as in like actually know the people who have bought a APS-C DSLR, but at this point in time all it is just a paperweight in the almirah? And how many of you like people have bought it, using it, but they have never bought any other lens than that, like the lens, let's say kit lens that came with it, 18 to 55, they are not buying anything else, or 18 to 55 and another lens that like telephoto, generally they are packed as a bundle kit, nothing else. So from a company's point of view, that's not actually helping them, be it Nikon, be it Canon, be it Sony. It's not helping them. And even if they buy, let's say, Sigma or Tamron, again, that's not helping the company that's making the camera body. So flat out, it creates a scenario where they want to put their best foot for the full frame scenario. So that, what does it mean? That simply means APS-C ends up with stupid limits. Only sometimes some company will be like, you know what, I think we can make some sacrifices here. We can make some APS-C bodies that are like, quote unquote pro grade, generally preferred for wildlife photographers. So the full frame becomes telephoto lens. Again, you will compromise the aperture, but that's acceptable. Because think of this, from an engineering point of view, all this company, all they have to do is, especially coming from DSLR to mirrorless, if they actually want to make a proper APS-C, They will take the full frame DSLR, put a goddamn field converter. Basically, you have telephoto zoom enhancer. I keep forgetting the name. Field that extends your field like this. Do like this, invert it. You will get amazing result. At that point in time, you will have full frame quality glass performing full frame like without crop factor, because you have that field reducer there, and you will have amazing APS-C. But they don't do that because inherently nobody's gonna buy that. If you're buying a cheap body, you're not gonna buy an expensive thing. So that's the paradox of it. That's why no company inherently wants to make something that is like, mind-boggling, be it Sony, Nikon, or Canon. And that's why Fujifilm can do, YOLO on like APS-C. But again, look at their prices. Even though it's APS-C, it's idiotically expensive, almost touching prices of like A7 Mark IV or even higher than that. So flat out, that's the paradox of it. Let's understand the main killer, mobile. Now, at this point in time, even mid-range mobile phones, specifically in Android, they are becoming good. And what does that mean? That simply means you will be satisfied. And high ends are close at this point in time to full social use, meaning if you are making your money from TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever have you, like social media, quote unquote, you can use your mobile phone as your primary means of media creation and nobody will give a damn. Like you can make money out of it and nobody will give a damn. That's a very serious level of achievement for mobile phone, something that you can put in your pocket and you can replace it every 2 to 3 years. So that's a very high yield, yes. Video recording is the one thing where you can actually tell them apart, but even that is becoming very close, very close. At this point in time, many people are flat out saying like, dude, the color science of Apple is reached a point where it's like they can splice in the footage and nobody notices it. So that's there, and I'm reasonably sure Android will also reach there, or maybe it's just a fact of like, color sciences. Like Apple stamps sometimes make people blind, and again, more than enough studies have been done with photos that people like, yeah, it's just if it did not have that stamp, nobody would like that photo. So that's also there. And at this point in time, current analysis is that they are 2 generations away from having an actual telephoto mastery. What does that mean? This is an example of S22 Ultra versus iPhone 13, and they are focusing on the moon. And at this point in time, you can achieve this level of footage on a goddamn mobile phone. To give you a context of that, this is what you will expect 18 to 55. This is what you will get at 55. This you won't get on your DSLR. This you really will not get on your DSLR unless you have 70 to 300. Let that sink in. Something that fits inside your pocket has this sort of telephoto lens, and this is currently available in the market for discount. Imagine what we're gonna have in like, let's 2 generations. That's the whole thing that I'm specifying. Like flat out cheap equipments, like who the hell designed this? Z50. I get it. On top, many people like that because eye line is right. In my case, eye line is here. Top, okay, I get it. But again, it blocks the mic and all that. That's a different. Who designed this? It's like, have you ever heard of tripods? It's like they want to make sure that nobody buys this. So it's one of those scenarios, and ease of use is one of the critical aspects. The primary reason why majority of the low budget DSLRs become just a paperweight is not because of the performance, it's because of hard of use, meaning it's just flat out not easy to use. You will not like to use them. You'll be like, dude, what the hell is this? For example, my camera has touch screen. Here's the deal. If I'm playing back a video that I have recorded and I want to slide it, I can't. Why? Just can't. They did not bother to put a good video player in there, and it has been fixed recently. So that's the reality. Fixed as in like if I buy the flagship ones. So that's the reality of it. Like these sort of little things, if you combine all of them, the reality is the ease of use is garbage in all DSLRs, APS-Cs and all. Reality is just garbage. And you may think, oh, I can push through it, I can read the manuals. Yes, it's fun for a few times. After a while, it becomes annoying, and after a while, it just becomes paperweight. You will not think about it again. So that's the reality of it. At this point in time, buying this sort of horsepower in a mobile phone is cheaper than buying it on a DSLR or mirrorless, especially mirrorless. So reality is, tell me how you're going to sell it to someone. It's like buy this system, buy even more expensive glass, then have like this hassle equipment, and then you get something that somebody can pull out your mobile phone. Done, bro. Like if we are achieving here, we are literally only 2 generations away where you're going to have wildlife photographers. It's like, yeah, my camera is capturing this, bro. Relax, we got this. That's happening. So that's the mobile side of things. So what should you buy? Well, reality, let me give it to straight truth. It's expensive hobby, and it's getting more expensive. So please do not complain about like, its cameras are becoming expensive or why we have to buy expensive. It is expensive hobby. It's getting more expensive. Just accept it, or go into your basically mobile phone. You will be far more happier. So that's the reality of it. And one of the business reality of it. Cheap options are cheap for a reason. Unless the company is doing a loss leading product, which I can guarantee you company will not do. If your market is shrinking, you're not going to lead a loss leading product into it unless you have some magical bullet. So cheap products are cheap, especially brand new releases from all the triple manufacturer, basically Sony, Nikon and Canon. If they are cheap, there is a very good reason why they are cheap, so you have to accept it. And full frame for professional work, meaning if you are planning to become professional or you want to do it, just buy full frame, not because for the sensor is better or the bodies are better, simply because lenses are better. And if you do not have good lenses, does not matter, flat out. Let me be real with you. If you do not have good lenses, sensor size does not matter. And good lenses are only made for things that sell a lot, which is full frame. There is a self-fulfilling paradox. That's why full frame is like such a good tool from a professional point of view. Again, just buy it. Or flat out, let's say you do not have money or you want to buy R7, still buy full frame lenses, so when you can upgrade your body without any hassle. So that is at least one good thing you can do. Full frame for professional work, don't think any otherwise. And you can get better and lighter lens also. This is one common misconception. Oh, if I have APS-C, if you try to get APS-C lens that is comparable to a full frame, it generally would be heavier because they will not use the most advanced glass elements, the fluoride glasses and there are other compounds that allow you to make a glass that are very light. They're expensive. So at the end of the day, many times you will find that person is like yielding a big ass glass. It's like, dude, it's lighter. How the heck it's lighter? Yeah, better glass. So that's why flat out better and lighter lenses are available. The whole catalog, whole shebang, flat out buy full frame. And not to mention third party also are available, meaning you can buy be Sigma, Tamron. These are two mass manufacturers that are available everywhere, and you will get surprisingly good option in full frame. And hobby wise, if you are like, I'm just still doing a hobby and I have rich enough pocket where I'm like, I can afford it, there are only some APS-C good, most likely Canon EOS R7. And the sole reason why this is good is like Canon is like, during chip shortage, it was better to place large order of one chip than it was like, making cheaper chips, because cheaper chips also became very expensive. So they were like, let's use flagship chip on a basically garbage sensor. So it has amazing performance, flat out from a performance point of view, where you're using it, you'll be like, dude, this is good. Like, this is so good. It bitch slaps its own RP, Canon EOS RP. That is the cheapest full frame that you can buy. It bitch slaps that in terms of performance, but in terms of sensor, that's huge. So you see the point, because they like, shrunk down the big ass processor into this. So this is one of those things that I can say, you can buy this and you will not regret it. Almost every other APS-C, be it Sony, be it basically Fuji, be it Nikon, there is a very good chance compared to this will be like, nah bro, not good enough, flat out not good enough. Full frame, yeah, full frame Sony, full frame Canon, they are like close to each other, and they can actually like compete. That's good, we want that. Lens selection, both are really good, especially Sony's Mark II lenses. And now I'm waiting for Canon to release their Mark II mirrorless lenses, so we're gonna have even amazing lenses. So that's amazing. APS-C, not really, flat out, just accept it. It's an expensive hobby. Accept some cameras that are actually good, everything else just buy full frame. You will enjoy it. So this was my presentation on APS-C versus full frame in 2022. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.